All right, so I want to talk about this Diddy, the raid of Diddy's properties in Miami and LA by the feds. He apparently booked his private plane to the Caribbean. So a lot of things are going down. Now, a couple of months ago, I already did a video about Diddy's chart. Now, reminder, we don't have his exact birth time. So what I did was I focused mostly on just the placements we can confirm, and I made a potential suggestion of what his rising sign would be. Based now again, even if I am correct, 11 a.m. it's probably within that window, right? It might not be 11 a.m. It might be 11:05, might be 11:22. I don't know, but I did like even if I'm looking at the degree of his the degree, I would say his degree is probably actually a little bit his degree would be higher than 7. So if he is a Capricorn rising, I don't think he's a 7 degree of Capricorn rising. But right now, that's not the point of this. But I will be doing some further work to try to, in any way I can, like rectify his chart to say what is Diddy's actual potential birth time and rising sign. But the reason I went with Capricorn is because we've heard of like all these connections or comments about Diddy and people calling him the devil. Remember the Capricorn, right? The tarot card is the devil. So I said that symbolically, but Capricorn is power. It wields power. It sometimes can punish, right? And you would need to see, in my opinion, for him to be a Scorpio, I would want to see there be some type of material attachment there as well, because it would be the earth sign. He has a Virgo moon, right? We're not sure the degree, but there's already a Virgo moon. But Virgo wouldn't explain how he accumulates such a great reputation. And Scorpio wouldn't explain that either. Capricorn energy would explain his reputation, even with his Mars being in Capricorn. So even if he's a later degree rising in Capricorn, I think that'd be interesting. But let's talk about this. So on my other channel where I talked about what does it mean, right? For it to be a full moon in Libra and for it to be a Sun and Aries energy combination, right? So what you'll see here is there is an underlying kind of karmic energy going on in his chart. So, for instance, the fact we can easily skip over the fact that the North Node currently is traveling in Libra, and the North Node, I mean the South Node. I'm sorry, the South Node is karmic. The South Node is karma. It is what we have already manifested, what we have already done. And when that moon, now again, the moon was at a later degree, earlier degree yesterday. The moon conjunct the South Node is this is all coming to a fold. Everything, and I said this in my other video before I ever knew about the Diddy situation. I reminded folks that like the full moon is when a full moon culmination happens. For some people, it's not going to be as monumental as a raid on their house, but a full moon is whatever you've done previously. Typically, the full moon represents whatever you've done for the past 29 and a half days or 30 days, whatever you've been focusing on, whatever's occurred, right? So for him, what we find interesting is the fact that this was his chart, would be going through the ninth house. The ninth house is the messenger. The ninth house is also, it can represent sometimes publicity, public messaging, right? When we think of the ninth house, also to do with morals. And so this is kind of a lot of those chickens coming to roost, coming to roost, right? Even if he doesn't have this placement in the ninth house and his chart is something different, that moon conjunct South Node represents this culmination period of justice, right? We think of Libra energy, there is about writing something. The balances have to at some point be aligned. Even when something is tipped in the other direction for a while. Eventually, it's got to level out. And so that's what we're seeing a lot energetically here, right? Also, he has a lot going on. If we, even if we don't look at the houses in particular, even the Sun and Aries being conjunct, his Chiron in retrograde. He is a Chiron in Aries in retrograde. So Aries season is something in Aries energy, which would be interesting for Diddy, is always going to be most likely some type of contentious energy, like at this period of time. I bet if you look back at a lot of things that happened, Aries season is probably not too good for him because when you look at the Chiron and Aries, you need to at some point have, yes, independence, but also we think of Aries, there has to be some level of courage, right? There has to be some level of courage of coming out of something, of understanding and being brave. But when you aren't transparent about what you do and you think you can get away with things for too long, you're going to see that it doesn't really necessarily work out in your favor. He also has a lot of Aries energy in his chart. This tells, I mean, not Aries, I'm sorry, Libra energy in his chart. Uranus, Jupiter, Venus. Sorry, I'm misspeaking. I'm doing this kind of fast because I don't want this to be that long. I did this on a whim. That Libra energy in his chart, you best believe he's getting his ducks in a row though. Okay, he has lawyers on tap. He has people who are going to be putting out statements for him. He's going to put out a statement. You'll see that. You're probably going to see him put out a statement. Okay. In his statements, you realize he never really reveals too much. He's a Mercury in Scorpio. His story's not likely to change. You're not likely going to get a Diddy that's like, all right, everybody, yes, I did it. Yes, I'm guilty. Yes, he is going to try to hold his ground as long as he can about, like, I'm innocent, I didn't do anything, they're targeting me, right? When you look at the fact that Pisces season is not completely gone, right? We're in Aries season, but there's all this Pisces energy in the chart, in everybody's chart right now, right? This Pisces transit as well. Remember, Pisces is energy that's not time bound. So a lot of times with Pisces, it is trying to resolve a wrong. So you know how Virgo on the literal, on the tangible, and will fix something, right? Virgo will see something, they'll fix it. Oh, there's an error there. Oh, there needs to be a comma there. Oh, this is not the right amount, right? Oh, let me go fix this. Virgo literally fixes the things in physical format, right? Whereas Pisces fixes things on a more spiritual realm. Pisces is more resolving things karmically, whatever's supposed to come to a close. And the thing about Pisces energy, it doesn't have to be big, bold, dashing, or even violent to resolve something. It simply knows that things are going to manifest in the way they're supposed to. It's interesting because he is a North Node in Pisces, right? Um, and you'll see elements of that. It's a lot of rumors about him dabbling in certain spiritual practices. There are certain, occult things. Now, again, there's a range with occult and spirituality, right? There's a range there. So some people can veer too much into the intense, the controlling part of the spirituality, right? Trying to put spells on people, trying to bind people, all those different things. And he is a Scorpio. But with Pisces, that energy also is about forming some sense of understanding of things on a more collective level. And so his North Node in Pisces is like, that's what he should have been doing, right? In terms of his life trajectory. Again, I don't know him personally. I'm not saying he has never tapped into his North Node, but that's one thing that I would say. And also, he is a moon in Virgo. We don't know the exact degree, but the fact that his moon is in Virgo, conjunct anyway, like even if it's a far apart degree, that South Node, anytime the moon is conjunct the South Node for him, is going to be important for him to really reflect and internalize. And I would hope at this point there would be some reckoning of, let me right this wrong. Let me start to be open and honest, and let me be transparent. You don't have a lot of transparency in Diddy's chart, right? Even we look at, well, Saturn and Taurus, but Saturn and Taurus isn't really about verbal transparency, right? And then Saturn in fourth house is, he's always going to keep some things private, right? There's going to always be some restriction there in terms of what's really going on emotionally or what's going on in his home or his household. But when we look grander, because he's getting, there's this trafficking accusation, right? Then people are rating them what they're looking for in these homes, but they're looking for something in particular. And so what's also interesting here, I will say for Diddy in particular, remember, Pluto was in Capricorn for a very long time. And for a very long time, Pluto was in the later degrees of Capricorn, right? We just went Pluto into Aquarius. So for a long time, he had Pluto in Capricorn conjunct his Mars in Capricorn. And we know Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So when people are like, well, why didn't this happen earlier? Why didn't this happen before? Why? And again, even if this does lead credence to the potential of him being Capricorn rising, it would make sense. Pluto deals with power, it deals with consumption, right? And Pluto's the ruler of his Scorpio sun. But with Pluto making that conjunct of Mars, it could have meant like there's, his ability to maintain power, his ability to keep control over people, his ability to keep people quiet lasted for a while. But then when you saw that shift that Pluto went into Aquarius, now even though technically Pluto was still conjunct his Mars, I mean, it's still, like not technically it is, even though these are on different signs. Pluto is not so far out of Aquarius that it's not still making a conjunct to his Mars at the 29th degree of Capricorn. However, either way, no matter what a degree is, a planet ingressing into another sign, it is an energetic shift. And Pluto in Capricorn, you saw a lot of people with power maintaining their power, maintaining what they have. With Pluto in Aquarius, you're now subject to public opinion. Pluto in Aquarius, The power is now in people, groups, people who come together, people thinking forward, people abandoning old beliefs, people abandoning old power structures, right? So there are going to be some shifts. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of energetic shifts that happen in the next few years in terms of where placements and planets are in that regard. But for him, I think that just really speaks to the fact that if he has this stellium in Libra and he has a Chiron in Aries, anytime there is a Aries Libra dynamic, full moon, eclipse, any type of energy, he has to be careful because that Libra energy again is always going to be wanting. It's almost like I'm getting there was opportunities to make this right, right? There was opportunities for him to not let the situation get to where it was. But again, he has there's years and years and years and years and years and decades of this behavior and of these alleged crimes. And so you have to understand like karma doesn't work the way you want it to. Some people people might say, well, I was victimized. I had this happen. Why isn't this person being punished? But it's like it doesn't always happen the way and at the time that we may desire or want it to happen. So I just wanted to briefly take a look at like the interesting nature of this full moon in Libra and this eclipse energy and how this really impacted Diddy in terms of his home being raided. Again, like his home, like people coming through his home, they're looking for something. And I also think it's interesting when you look at like, oh, him leaving the country because look at what's happened. If I'm correct, and this is his rising sign, again, I've done some research. I'm not 100% sure, but if it is, that would not make sense. That moon, quick movement, right? Ninth house, foreign, leaving, traveling, going somewhere else, right?